Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Embrace the Pace, bringing you guys another video today. What you're watching in the background is some NBA 2K14. I'm not 100% sure what it is because I haven't recorded it yet. After I make this commentary, I'm going to hop on some 2K, get a little bit of gameplay, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that in the background. But the reason why I have 2K in the background is because I'm talking about an NBA related topic today, and you guys probably already know what it is, judging by what's in the news right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Paul George injury that happened the other night, and I'm just going to give a quick little overview of what happened if you guys don't know, and then I'm going to talk about a few things. And I want you guys to leave your comments and opinions down below in the comment section. I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say about this really bad injury that happened to Paul George. That is really pretty depressing, to be honest. But if you guys haven't seen the video, you guys can find it for sure. I recommend you don't watch it because it was such a bad injury. But I'm just going to talk about what happened real fast. So it was in the U.S. basketball scrimmage game, and that's something that makes it even more devastating because it was a completely meaningless game. But it was in the fourth quarter. James Harden had the ball. He was coming down the court, and Paul George was on the other team. And Paul George was chasing him down. He jumped up to try to block his shot, and then once he landed awkwardly in between the floor and the basket stanchion, and it just snapped his leg right there. It ended up being a full break from the tibia and the fibula, which are the two main bones in the lower leg. And it was also a compound fracture, which means that the bone actually broke the skin. So obviously that's a really, really bad injury. Very similar to the Kevin Ware injury that happened a few years ago in the NCAA tournament. They're really, it's kind of hard to tell which one is actually worse. I'd lean towards the Paul George one just because of the player that Paul George is and the situation, how it happened. It was a complete fluke. He was just making a basketball play and he just happened to land awkwardly on the stanchion. And also to have that happen in a scrimmage game and how good he is, one of the top NBA players, I just find that worse than Kevin Ware's injury, which was definitely bad. I think Kevin Ware's injury was more gruesome because it was in the open court, so on national TV you could actually see how bad the injury was. In Paul George's case, you couldn't see it quite as much because he was down behind the basket stanchion. But they were both really bad injuries, and a lot of people are worried about Paul George's career, and I'm really feeling optimistic after some of the things that have come out about it. After he had surgery the other night, they found out that he doesn't have any infection at all, so that's one really good thing. He doesn't have any damage in his ankle or knee either, which is a really good thing. And to have a broken bone it's honestly probably easier to come back from than some type of ligament tear in your knee. Like Derrick Rose, that's a lot harder to come back from than a bone break because bone heals a lot better than ligaments do. So I'm feeling optimistic that he'll be back. They say 4 to 8 weeks he'll be able to walk, and then like 4 to 6 months he'll be able to run again, and then who knows how long after that before he can get back to full strength playing basketball. But they're estimating it somewhere between 9 and 12 months, which should put him out for all of next season. Even if he was healthy before next season ends, I don't see any reason why the Pacers would try to bring him back before the following year, because at that point they're already going to be in the cellar of the East anyway, or at least close to it. So I'd rather, if I were them, I'd rather just at that point just tank so you can get a better draft pick and hopefully be able to help out Paul George in the future. But this is really bad for the Pacers because this was such a freak accident. He was going to be their leader, as if he was already their leader, but now that they lost Lance Stevenson, and now they lose Paul George too, it's going to be a really rough situation. They're going to get a little bit of compensation so they can sign a free agent or trade for somebody, but nothing is going to compare. And I would definitely think that the Pacers aren't going to be in the playoffs, which is really unfortunate for them. But as I said, they should be able to get a good draft pick next year. But I don't think this will jeopardize Paul George's career. I think he'll come back stronger than ever, or maybe not stronger than ever, but I do think he'll come back and return to form, and he'll be right back up there at the MVP level. He seems like a really tough guy, and he really seems like he has a good attitude about it, and he should be able to come back. And I'm really rooting for him because Paul George is one of my favorite players. I really do like him a lot. And I'm really hoping that he'll be able to come back, and I definitely think he will. Now, the basket stanchion was a really big controversy because the NBA has a minimum rule. It has to be 4 feet, at least 4 feet away from the baseline. The stanchion has to be at least 4 feet away from the baseline. and they measured it, and the stanchion was actually 3 feet and 11 inches, which may not seem like anything. It's just an inch, but if that inch was 1 inch further back, Paul George probably would have been completely fine when he landed. But it's not just that inch. It's that most NBA arenas have the stanchion even further back than that, like 6 feet back. And I really don't see why they don't have it further back than that. They need as much room to land as they can to prevent injuries like this, and especially such a devastating one to the entire basketball world like this. So they'll definitely have to look into that a lot. And, it's just a really unfortunate turn of events. And then the other big implication that this has on basketball is that maybe this is going to change USA basketball. Like, a lot of players don't want to play for the U.S. team just because it's not as enticing as just winning like an NBA title. Like, if you look at soccer, obviously people are going to want to play in the World Cup because the World Cup is such a bigger stage than the MLS. But in the NBA, winning a gold medal in the FIBA World Cup for basketball is not as big as winning an NBA championship. That's why guys like LeBron don't want to do it. Kevin Love is holding out of the USA basketball because he wants to protect his trade value. And I think that this injury to Paul George is just it's going to make people a little bit more hesitant about wanting to play on the U.S. team, because obviously now the Pacers season's pretty much down the drain, and Paul George is going to miss an entire year of his career. And it's just, a lot of people will look at it and say that it's not worth it. I hope it doesn't come to that, because I think USA basketball is a really good thing, but we'll just have to see. So that brings me to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Make sure to leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Also, drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it, and subscribe for more videos, and I'll talk to you guys later.